Ahoy, SpongeBob, me boy! It is I, Eugene Krabs! No, I can't do a very good Eugene Krabs impression, but surprise, surprise, that's who we are going to do today. So, thank you for your patience. Sorry I haven't done a video in a few days. Been a bit busy, but I decided to go with this character, so grab yourself a pencil, grab yourself some paper, and let's begin. Okay, so I've just brought him over here, just so that we have a little bit of a reference. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you want to map out, as before, the basic shapes. Now, I actually struggled with him a little bit, because although he looks simple, it's actually quite tricky. And the way I've worked it out is you want to start off with drawing a nice big cross. Alright, so sorry, that's a bit sloppy that. But you want to draw just a cross, sort of, just to sort of go straight down like that, and then another one around about 2/3 of the way down. Okay, so a nice big plus sign. And the reason is because these bits here for his body are a bit tricky to get through, so it's easier to do it this way. Alright, so when we're up here, now what you want to do is you want to basically be drawing a trapezius sort of shape. Okay, so you want to start off with just doing a bit of a curve there and just sort of going down, try and reach the corner if you can, and as you do you want to slowly curve it round, and then as you curve it round you want to sort of go under. Oh no, it's a bit deep. Right about there, and sort of go up. And the reason that I've done it with a cross is because I found a lot of times it was getting a bit lopsided, which we don't want. We sort of want that slight symmetry there. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Remember, you're drawing lightly with this one. These are your structure lines, and we're going to rub them out afterwards. So just make sure you draw nice and light. It can be sloppy, that's fine. So that's going to be his body, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to move it down a little bit. On paper, obviously, I just sort of move the thing, but yeah, so just so we've got a bit more space. Now his eyes are the next bit. Now his eyes come to around about here, and they are quite long. They're about, if you look, up to about there to there. That works out to about the same as his body, so we want to sort of draw them quite big, so they sort of come up to about there. So you start off, and these start off just sort of marking where you think it would be. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And you want to be careful because these aren't just sort of cylinders like that. They actually sort of curl almost like that. So that's what we want to look at, is that sort of shape for the eyes. So you need to be a bit careful here. So just start off sort of nice and gently, just sort of going up to there. It'll curl round, and as you curl round, you can then sort of go down like that. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. And the other one, because we're looking at it from sort of this direction, you want to do the eye behind his head. So sort of the same, around about there, just not quite parallel, maybe just a little bit higher, maybe about a centimetre, and you just want to do the same thing. Maybe ever so slightly shorter, because don't forget, his eye is technically further away. Okay, there we go. And then obviously we've got his eyes, pupils I should say. Yep, that'll do. Is that alright? Well, a bit lower. A bit lower. Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. These are only my structure lines, so I can always sort of have them. Yeah, they're a bit lower, so I'll sort of have them around about there. I'm just keep marking them in for now, just so I've got a bit of a reference for sort of where they are. Okay, now the next bit you want to do is you want to sort of cut him into almost thirds in a way, and the first third we're going to do is for his sort of his head coming out of his shirt, and you just want to sort of go with the cone and sort of come round like that. Okay, and once you do that, you want to do the same, maybe around about here. So he's only got a short shirt, and you want to sort of do the same around about here, just so you can sort of curve it around. There we are, because he has got several layers on. You'll find a lot of the stuff that they use in the cartoon is very similar to the characters are very similar to one another, which is quite interesting. Okay, so now we want to draw his arm here. So for that, all you want to do is just sort of draw, just mark in an ovum there, and do the same on the other side. Obviously that's going to be a bit shorter because you can't see all of it, but this is just so we know where his arms are going to be, and you can sort of draw sort of a art thing for his arm, maybe go a bit like that. Now his claw as well, that's going to be a circle. Now his claw's quite big, so it's about just a bit shorter than the actual circumference of his trousers. As I say, it don't matter if you overlap, these are your structure lines. This is where you're supposed to do it. You can't tell where things are going to be if you don't draw over it. Alright, now I'm happy with that. And over here, we sort of go a bit more, maybe to about there. Yep, and same again. Try and keep it the same sort of size as the other one. If you make it a bit small, you can just sort of increase the sort of size of it. There we are. Okay, and we're nearly finished with his structure. Now finally what we've got is we've got his trousers. So his trouser leg sort of comes around about there. Very similar to Patrick's style, that is. If it's a bit small, don't worry, you can always make it bigger. This is the beauty of structure lines. There we are. And then one more over here. Excellent. Okay. Having a quick look. If you want to, I mean, you can leave it there. You can sort of structure a bit more in if you say, right, I want to know where his nose is and sort of the basic size, just so you know where things are going. And that's perfectly okay. You know, it's if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter too much, because, you know, it's just a rough outline for it that you're just going to use. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then maybe you want to sort of draw this, another line coming through. This would represent his belt buckle, because he's got quite a bit of detail on his belt. Okay, brilliant. I'm generally quite happy with that. You might again want to sort of do a few things for his claw as well. So the reason is that it's easier to sort of follow the lines if you've got sort of the claw outline on there, because you don't want to sort of struggle halfway through and then mix up the whole thing, especially when you're drawing a bit harder. Right, now this is our structure line. So what you want to do now is, if you're on digital, make a new layer. If you're on pencil and paper, like most people will probably be, then this is where you're going to draw a bit harder now. So you've drawn lightly with your pencil, so it's nice and light, so you can barely see it. And now you've got your nice thick lines that are going to look like this, okay? Right, so what we're going to do now is, now there's going to be some parts that we miss. Now you notice here, we're not drawing obviously lines going through like that, because he's not transparent, you know, things are not going to be seen. So this is where we need to sort of, parts like there, we're going to sort of ignore and just sort of draw in through. So starting off with his body, alright, so you might want to sort of go around up there, and then you might just start doing his eye. Now there's no right or wrong answer for this. I would generally say though, just use your common sense. Okay, there we are. There we go, good. And then we might do another one here for his eye. Alright, there we go. If you can, try and stick to the guidelines about taking your hand off the paper. And the reason is that it gets rid of that sort of sketchy sort of look. And if you do get that, that's fine too. But it just makes it look a bit more slick. Now you notice on this one, obviously this eye is behind, so we can actually draw his shell coming through. His nose, unlikely, so I'm just going to rub that bit out there. And then sort of come down a bit more, and then sort of come round. Now this bit's a bit tricky. For an added touch, you can just draw a little lip there, and that just gives him sort of a bit more sort of look that his trousers are a little bit sort of baggy, not sort of skin tight. You know, just sort of, I suppose realism's the wrong word. Okay, now this is a bit tricky for his leg. So his leg, you want to sort of go in for a little bit, leave a little gap, and then just carry on. Again, same for this one, leave a little gap, go over, that's fine, and then carry on. And then we'll sort of go across up here, and then we'll sort of carry on. Okay, so his basic shape's done. We're starting to get there. Right. I think we should do his arms. So what we can do for his arms is sort of draw this. Now for his arms, that's a cone shape, but it's a little bit more, well, I don't know the shape of it now. More like an ice cream cone rather than a cylinder. Yeah, so it is a cone, yeah, what am I talking about? Okay, now from here, you want to draw a little line there, and you want to sort of draw his arms coming out. Now, you want to go around your lines, and the reason is that his arms have got depth, and you want to sort of not have stick arms. He's not got stick arms. Mr. Crab's actually quite a strong fella. Or crab. Okay, and then sort of come around here for the shape of the claw. If you can, try and keep it as circular as possible. And then we come around and get to there. Same for this one. There we go. Here's a fun fact for you older viewers that are watching. Mr. Krabs is voiced by Clancy Brown. Now, Clancy Brown was the guard, the prison guard in Shawshank Redemption, and he was also is it General Z or Sergeant Z in Starship Troopers. I find that hilarious that the man has got an extensive career and a completely different typecast to what he's normally portrayed as. And I think he's actually made most of his career from SpongeBob, because obviously SpongeBob has been running since 1999, so that's 21 years that he's been Eugene Krabs. 21 years, wow. It's probably great fun. I reckon it would be great fun working on the cast of SpongeBob. You know? There we go, so let's go around like that. There we are. Okay. Now, for his claws, they're not pointy like this. They're not like that. Mr. Krabs' claws are actually quite round, so you want to sort of complement that just by sort of, you know, going for these round bits in there, just so that he doesn't, you know, come across as, you know. There we are. Okay, there we go. And then from here we sort of loop round. That just gives it a little bit of a 3D touch, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got his basic shape. We could probably maybe go on to his legs now. As I say, notice I'm not going with the lines exactly. They're just structure lines. They're just there so I can see what I'm doing. So I can sort of have a rough guess, because it's amazing. Angles are far more important than size. If you've got one line like this and another line like this, although this one and this one look very similar, that makes a whole difference. So you're better off going big and thicker than you are with, you know, slightly different angles. So that's why we have the structure lines, just to make sure everything's where it should be. Okay, I'm going to do his pupils now. I've put his pupils around about here, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm just going to sort of draw those in. These are just ovals that you want to do. Alright, there we go. Now what I need you to do is leave a little gap. And the reason is that's just the glimmer of his pupil. And that makes a huge difference. You know, it actually looks like he's seeing. You see I've got that there. If you do colour it in and you're like, oh gosh, what have I done? That's perfectly fine, because you can just get your rubber and just sort of rub out where you want his pupils to be. Okay. So we're getting there. Now what I want to do his nose. Now his nose, if you look, it's kind of zigzaggy, yeah? So it looks a bit like Harry Potter's scar. So you just want to sort of go ahead and give it like that. Now it is thicker at the base than it is at the tip. So once you do that, make sure you go with the line as close as you can. But try and go a bit sort of there, so it doesn't look quite like it's sort of a straight thing. Okay. And now for his mouth. Now his mouth's very similar to Patrick's, if you remember Patrick and Sandy in that sense. So what we need to do is just sort of go around. There we go. There we are. He's got teeth, so you want to leave a little gap there as you go around like that. And when you get to there, go around, yeah, with your crescent shapes, and then boom. So just that alone, just that little bit, gives him a bit more depth. Now he's obviously got these little markings there, just sort of separate his teeth. Yeah, as you can see. Now his tongue, your favourite, folks, is the heart shape. So we do the heart, yeah, and then like that. There we go, boom. So you see, he's starting to come along. I'm going to work on his shirt now. Now his shirt, you want to be quite careful with. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just going to have a drink of water. Yeah, my throat's getting a bit dry today. So it's got a little gap there. So you can follow it round, but when you get to around about halfway, just leave a little gap for your V. There we are. And then come round. Okay? And then you just want to sort of link it against like that, because that's his sort of undershirt he's wearing. Alright. Now he's got his sort of his shirt lips. What, collars, that's the one. Collar there. There we go. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I apologise. There we go. So we've got his collar. And then we've got his belts coming around there. We're nearly done, guys. We're nearly done. There we go. Now that just sort of makes it, you see, it looks like it's actually stuffed in them rather than, you know, skin tight colouring. Okay. Same again. Now if we just want to follow this around, and when we get to around about here, this is where we want to sort of stop. Or we can go ahead and draw that instead. We just want to draw a slightly bigger rectangle than the belt, because this will represent his buckle. And we can just sort of draw again inside it. There we are. If you mess it up, that's okay. That's okay. All we need to do is just take your rubber. Just take your rubber and give it a rub. There we go. Don't be afraid to give it a good rub out if it gets too big. There we are. Okay, so I'm just neatening it up now. Just sort of give it, you know, we don't want it to look too sloppy. Okay, and then obviously here we're going to sort of go across like that. And then we go across like that. Same again, you want to leave a little gap as you sort of come around as well. So try and keep it sort of the same sort of, if you imagine an invisible line going through, that just keeps it a bit more consistent so it actually looks like what it is. Now what you can do is you can actually draw a line that goes a bit deeper, and that's just going to look like he's got a little sort of flap going across his belt buckle, and it's a great little trick you can do just to sort of give your characters a bit more detail just by extending a little line. You see it sort of goes in like that, yeah? Finally, we've got his fly, and it'll sort of go to around about there, and then we sort of draw a line like that. Okay, I think that's everything, folks. So there we have it. We've drawn Eugene Krabs. I'm really proud of that because he's quite tricky. Give it a go now, and same as before, I want you to do this, then I want you to colour it in. Don't have to colour it in if you don't want to, but it would be nice, you know, colour it in, and then I want you to post it into the comments below, okay? Show me what you've done. In fact, I've just missed a little bit there. I've just realised I'm just going to sort of go across like that. There we go. All right, show me what you've done. I would love to see what you guys can do, because this one is a bit challenging, but it's really rewarding. So, as I say, guys, copy this, follow this video, draw Eugene Krabs, and then post it in the video bit below. Thank you very much, and take care.